let's crack on.
Great. So to everyone who's checking in with us, welcome to Live Lessons episode 2, which is our LinkedIn Live series, and we're covering today on how to be seen and also how to source. So as you can see, I'm joined today with a guest, and this is Elliot Larsen, who is going to be introducing himself very shortly, and we'll be passing over. But just as we're checking in now, a great opportunity again just to kind of cover what we're going to be looking at today, the format of it, and a bit of a scope and how best to engage with us while we're on. So me and Elliot are going to go into having a bit of a chat. We're going to be pulling from him his experiences and some top tips, and we're also going to have an opportunity to go into a live Q&A today as well. But it's a really good opportunity to make the most of this as a networking opportunity for anyone who is tuning in. So in the comments, if you are watching, if you just want to let everyone know a bit about yourself, who you are, if you were in the military, what your military service was, what you're doing now currently, any opportunity that you're looking for, just a quick message is mega helpful, and you'll get some sight and might make some good contacts. So as well, in the background, we've also got Annabelle, who's the Redeployable marketing manager, who's going to be managing everything. So you'll hear me talking to her. But if anyone wants to wish Annabelle a hi, please feel free to do so as our back end guru. So anyway, without further ado, we will crack on, and I'm going to pass over now to Elliot to introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks, mate. First of all, thanks for having us on. I did see the last one, which is interesting, and yeah, I'm pleased to be speaking to you today. So yeah, quick introduction. Myself, I joined the Royal Marines in 2009. Left in 2017 to pursue a career in sales. Funnily enough, similar to yourself. From there, worked for a large company in Manchester. Worked out quite well. Really enjoyed it. And then post COVID, so I worked with them through COVID. Decided that, you know what, I could actually do this myself. Considering that I'd sat at my kitchen table for a few months and tried to get a couple of things going, a few deals, etc. Spoke to clients and thought, actually, do you know what, I can do this myself. So I've been doing that since then, which I've enjoyed. I've been on that roller coaster of running a business since then. And sort of like the last 6 months, which I guess why I'm on here today to speak about, is sort of from running a business and sort of thinking what I can do to give back to my community, which is again the ex-military, is I thought sort of how could I sort of push what I've learned from the transition and from continuing the career, what I can sort of give back, and that was essentially learning the LinkedIn, which is where I get 100% of my money from. Every penny in my bank account is from LinkedIn, from business development, from pitching, from speaking to people day in, day out, sending hundreds of messages to people I want to connect with. And I just wanted to open a couple of eyes onto that, really, with something that we're going to be launching later this week, which is the Work Pathfinder, which is a couple of five module course from building a LinkedIn all the way through to job searching, connection strategies, and also content creating. So that's all in there, and hopefully we can talk a bit about that today and what's in it, so people could get a bit of a picture, because there's some nuggets of information that I think a lot of people transitioning will be able to gain from, really. So I guess that's why we're here, and some of the things we can go through today, mate. So yeah, that's it.
Spot on. An absolutely classic style. Knew Elliot was going to be very humble in his introduction there. Haven't really gone into any stats or figures on some of your experience as a recruiter, but $1 million biller and a pretty stellar background in what you've done recruiting. So for anyone who is watching, a fantastic person to get some tips from right now and really soak up some experience, and the modules and the e-learning path that Elliot's putting together is mega exciting, and something that we're really kind of looking forward to as Redeployable to be able to partner with and help get this experience and help people get set up properly, which does kind of lead me now into our first question, which is why, and it's not just for veterans specifically, but that's who we're speaking to today. But why is LinkedIn such a valuable asset, and why should service leavers and veterans really look to embrace it as an asset?
Yeah, I suppose how deep do you want to go into it? I mean, what we spoke about the other day, Al, is a LinkedIn essentially to sort of package it up. It's like we spoke about it, it's like a working CV. So it's out there, it's in the public domain. People can have a look at it. People know what you're doing. People know who you are, what type of work. It's like a professional sort of it's almost like a professional Instagram and such. Whereas if people are looking for I don't know, like a project manager or I don't know, environmental health officer, etc., then you can be found on there. So to have a decent a decent looking, a working, posting, connecting profile, is essential, I think. Anyway, especially someone who is on there daily, who is searching for people daily within the parameters of what I work in. But that's not just me. You do something different to me. You look for separate things to me, and there's thousands and thousands of recruitment companies out there that are searching for. I don't know who's listening to this, but the job role that you want to work in. So especially people transitioning from the military, I think it is essential to have a 10 out of 10 working LinkedIn profile. I think, as I've said plenty of times, a CV is needed, and there are a lot of people out there writing CVs, and you need to get all your experience written down there for people to initially see. But when you do send that CV into a hiring manager inbox or into a recruiter's inbox, I know personally the first thing I do is I fire up LinkedIn, I put the name in, and I have a look what they're actually about. Are they? Is it what it says on the tin? Let's have a look at where they've worked. Let's have a look at the recommendations at the bottom. That's the first thing to look at. And I'll also look at the summary, and if they are posting. And do you know what? Like, if I get two CVs in my inbox for a job role, and I've got one that's not got a picture, the summary's awful, and can't really see that they're active, and I see someone who is has not necessarily a large following, but connections, is commenting on things, is posting about, let's say, the tech that they're using, because I do tech recruitment, the tech that they're using, this is a project that they're doing. I go down and there's recommendations, from 5 or 6 previous peers or managers, etc., that they've worked under, that'll go, Joe Bloggs is a great guy, does this, or, this person's fantastic, worked on our team, did this, and this. And I'll go, well, guess what? The first person I'm going to pick up the phone to, it's not rocket science. It's the person who I think's going to be good for me, because I don't want to waste my time. So, and if there is a job post out there that are getting tens and tens of CVs, it's essential that you're up there, because, like I said, you want to be getting that phone call. And there's another thing that we touched on that I just wanted to quickly go into that some people might not know. Just sort of about the dark arts of LinkedIn. That if you are applying for job roles online or on LinkedIn, that the app itself has an algorithm that puts you in order of people who have applied for them jobs. So if I put a job advert out for, let's say, a React developer, because let's not do that. Let's do a project manager in Manchester in construction. If I put that job post out, LinkedIn straight away tells me the top candidates it thinks I will want to speak to, and that's only going off what's in their profile. And then not only that, if I'm the recruiter looking at that, the first thing I'm going to do is look at profile 1. Yeah, great, I'll speak to them. Profile 2, great, speak to them. Profile 3, great. Get to profile 9, and it's not really what I'm looking for. Guess what? Like, I'm not really going to be looking at the other 30 that he sent me. So having that LinkedIn profile that's it's up there, it's working, it's looks 10 out of 10 is so essential in people transitioning to be able to find work, to connect, and just to get to that next step, because I think it might just boost. It might be the marginal gains of 1% or 2%, that you're going to get the role, but we're all about them marginal gains, and that's what we want, and especially people transitioning from the military, because we know how difficult it is already before even the job search starts, mentally, etc., and trying to get yourself settled. So that if you can take that burden off yourself by, having a work LinkedIn, being approached with job roles and, opportunities, projects, etc., then, why not spend half an hour a day, 20 minutes a day doing a post or a couple of connections and messages? So that's that's what I feel about LinkedIn. That's why I'm an advocate for it, because, it does all that. It does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. There's so many great little bits and snippets of advice in there, but ultimately, controlling the controllables and the marginal gains. It's a free resource for you to paint yourself
Exactly.
in the best light possible for any prospective employers. And there's also the flip side of this of people who might be watching as employers who are looking to recognise military profiles and a way to do that too. And by recognizing kind of what skill sets and little snippets you can pull out of military profiles. But one thing that you did say is what I always push people for to focus on their LinkedIn profiles is recommendations. Like you think about how valuable or how important a reference is when you're in the last stages of your interview process. It's a free area that you can publicly get great references, and everyone knows that
Yeah.
when you go into your interviews, as you're looking at jobs, you are going to be putting your best self forward. Everyone understands that, but this is your opportunity to get that the third party, or the people who've seen you operate in great ways in your, whether it's in the military or whether it's in your recent civilian roles. Like, recommendations are so important. I think they're probably one of the best features that you can really look to focus on your LinkedIn profile. But like you've said, it's I think as you get further along in your career and as you've gone through that first transition step to being a civilian, the idea of applying for jobs in the traditional manner starts to go less kind of, it starts to go out the window really. You start getting approached by
Yeah, I
recruiters
agree.
more, your network means more. And the earlier you can start to embrace LinkedIn, building your network, being active in the communities in the right way, you can start building up like basically a powerhouse for your future career. And it's not really an understatement. You can, and I tell people who are looking at leaving now, down the line you will get more opportunities through your LinkedIn, through your networking than you will through applying for roles. So it's not something to be snubbed at. And I know that typically you get some people who are leaving the military and they're it's a whole new
Yeah.
world in so many ways, let alone just looking at the new social medias and tech platforms that you might have to use. But embrace LinkedIn. I've got some friends out there who are a bit hesitant to jump on it and don't really know what it is and why. But if there's one thing to embrace, I would say it is LinkedIn. But
Yeah. I think
following on from that one, Elliot. Oh, go on.
I was going to say I couldn't agree more, and that's where um, from connecting with going back and connecting with military connections, and then obviously there's the Gendit network on LinkedIn. Chris Shaw runs, which and he was in a troop with me at
Mhm.
4-5 Commando, and just seeing that, and everything that we've just spoke about there, that was where I thought, well, is there anything out there that's sort of selling LinkedIn to the ex-military? Because when I
Mhm.
left, and people will be able to say as well, you do the CTP, but it's now gone to Reed or something like that. But you sit there, you do the little CV writers course, and you go, right, okay, now you're going to make a LinkedIn profile. And you get some Doris come and say, right, this is LinkedIn, blah blah blah, and that's when I initially made it, 2017. And then This is where I sat there a few months ago, and I thought that lady who was telling me about it, like, well, she's just a career workshop. You know what I mean? You need
Mhm.
people like myself and like yourself who are successful outside of the outside of the military, but not like just like successful in a way of like business, etc. But it's I'm successful in finding people jobs and careers, and I've done it hundreds of times, and I know what I'm looking
Yeah.
for with LinkedIn. Do you know what I mean? I know what other
Mhm.
people in my industry are looking for, and I know how to be found, and I know what I'm looking for, and it's just and that's why we've just read it all down. Um,
Mhm.
Again, from that transitional sort of aspect of start to finish. This is how you build it. Module one to, you know,
Mhm.
what do I write? What do I post about? What's actually going to get me
Yeah.
some impressions, which in my industry, which actually, like I said before, about if you're a project manager in construction in Manchester, guess what? A couple of weeks of maybe writing about this is what I'm doing, on this site, blah 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 blah. Uh, Another manager from another site might say that you connected with a few weeks down the line might think, you know what, that fella keeps commenting. He's on that site down the road. He's doing this, this, and this. Fucking hell, do you know what? I actually need someone for the similar type of project. Let me drop him a message. And it sounds like it's so straightforward, and no, it's not, but it does happen. Do you know what I mean? Like someone, I mean, I can't talk about construction because I don't know it, but if someone's, I don't know, digging out the foot in the middle of town, in the middle of Manchester, let's say, and he's posting about it. This is the struggles we've had. This is the wins that we've had, etc. And someone does see that, and he needs that job doing. Then it'll be in the forefront of the mind. And people, I don't think people do realise that. And I know it's a bit far fetched to think it sometimes if you don't if you don't use LinkedIn, but that's exactly what it's there for. And if you've got 100 connections within your industry in let's say Manchester, keep going back to it, but it could be anything, then guess what? Then people are going to be seeing it and will know your name. And if you are, constantly tapping them up or dropping them a quick message or letting them know what you're doing, oh, my contract's finished in June, is there anything coming up? Just so you know, here's my CV that I've already, I've had done and it's fantastic. It's got everything on there. And that's what it is, and that's what the tool is. And I think sparking that bit of excitement into it for military leavers is the hardest part, because a lot of people might not believe in it, but it's been going for a long time. But over the past sort of 6 years I've been using it, it's only going one way. And like you said, the workplace is changing, and I do think that that applying for job roles, etc., and how people are applying for jobs and searching and internal recruiters are trying to find people. They're not just looking at CVs on Indeed anymore. I promise you that. They're looking, they're on LinkedIn.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things, and as ever with this, you don't know what you don't know when you don't know it. And that's why it's easy to be skeptical and not really understand this world. But when you can create ultimately your LinkedIn is your professional personal brand, if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. But you see people who've done that really well, like Chris and Chris over at Gen Dit Network. I met them through LinkedIn. I've had them on podcasts now, and they're incredibly successful. And you tagged Mick Flaherty in a post recently, met him through LinkedIn, and through networking, like he's always my go-to guy for sending people for specific CV advice. So that's Mick doing his job well on LinkedIn now gets him referrals through people like you and me, for example, because he's done a good job on LinkedIn and putting himself out there and showcasing his skills. So not something to be snubbed at for sure. And so, Elliot, another one which probably leads in quite nicely from this, and hopefully everyone who's watching is kind of thinking of some questions and everything. So the Q&A will be coming. Justin's looking forward to it already. What are some common mistakes that you might see on LinkedIn profiles?
Yeah, great question. For service leavers who are making mistakes, essentially, it's a sort of the first thing is not using it. So it needs to be constantly updated. It needs to be constantly being used for one. Getting just the basics right. Getting a strong profile picture on there. And I know it just seems so simple, but a great headshot just works, straight away. Having a cover picture, having a nice summary in there, just explain if you are a service leaver, you have left the service, listen, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going through, these are the courses that I'm doing, this is what I'm looking for. Getting as many, have a look at what SEO means, for one, because let's say we keep going back to construction project manager, just because it's in my head now, have in there, a couple of times, I am, Manchester based, service leaver looking to get into project management, doing this, and this, construction, this, and this. And then another thing that we find is, we said again, the recommendations, get a couple of your mates to just do it. You know what I mean? Just say, listen, just do as a LinkedIn recommendation. They'll probably tell you to fuck off, but, you'll get a couple of pals going, go on then, what do you want me to write? Just to get listen, we were in a troop together, they did everything, you know what I mean? It just works. Like, this is a great guy, blah, blah, blah. And then also the main thing as well is the job, I think, is it called the job title on LinkedIn? Sorry, I should know this. But simply having in there, head at service leaver, 24 years in the 24 years in the army, service leaver. Like, if I'm a recruiter, I don't search for, because that's essentially what, if I put in the search bar for, I keep going back, construction or project manager, that's essentially the first thing that's going to come up. No one's searching for 24-year army veteran. No one's searching for ex-serviceman. No one's searching for, ex-service now looking for new opportunities. Do you know what I mean? That isn't in a search. No one's ever searched for that. Do you know what I mean? Because that's not what we're
Yeah.
looking for. We're looking for the job title. And that's, it's just as simple as you can put it. You need to be sticking that job title. If you're not there yet, don't worry. Just put it in there because that's who's going to be messaging you. People looking for the job
Yeah.
title. So if you think, oh, you know what, I'm not a project manager yet. I'm looking to get into it. It doesn't matter. Just try it. Just stick in there what your aspirational job title is after it because that's what you're going to be connecting with. That's what people are going to be approaching you about, might be looking at your profile. You can see on there people looking at your profile. Could be a recruiter, could be an internal recruiter. I don't know. Could be someone going, actually, this person looks at my profile, click on it. It's an internal recruiter for the biggest construction thing in the Northwest. Drop them quick. This is how it works. Hi, look, I'm leaving the services. I'm doing this, and this course. I want to get into this. I've seen you looked at my profile. Is that something you're looking for? Is it something you'll be hiring in the next 6 months? This is when I'm leaving. And then, the conversation starts. And that's really what a strong LinkedIn does. It's a warm conversational starter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are a couple of things that I think people are making mistakes with, not using it enough and just not having a clear representation of themselves because that's essentially what it is. It's getting the conversation started. People land on it. They know what you're about straight away.
Yeah, yeah. I made a few really good points in there, and it just got me to thinking. If anyone's watching this, I know Louise has just commented with some advice. Anyone else who's watching who has got some good advice or some good avoids, that'd be mega beneficial for everyone who's watching. So feel free to bang them in the comments. But the header's a big one, exactly like you're saying, and so Elliot was just saying there for SEO, which is search engine optimization. That's what the algorithms basically when recruiters are using LinkedIn Recruiter when they're typing in keywords, they're typing in job titles, they want to be seeing exactly what effectively you're looking for. So like no matter what that role is, whether it's project manager, software developer, don't be talking about like what you have done and that you were an ex-sergeant. Put in what you're looking for because that's going to bring you up to the tops of the right feeds for the right people. And there was another quick one in there that's just slipped my head.
And that's just an educational thing, by the way, Ellis. I was just saying that's just like people aren't doing the wrong thing by doing that because I probably done that as well, but only because no one like me or you, a recruiter, was saying maybe don't do that. Just like mate, try this because no one's searching for a sergeant. No one's thinking, what I mean? It's just it, and maybe we're the only ones that first they ever say it, and I'm sure we're not. But that's just a fact. No one's searching for a what WO1, 22 year. No one's looking for that. Everyone wants project manager, whatever job role you want to go into.
Yeah, you're bob on. Cool. So we are around 23 minutes into this. So Annabelle, if you could bring up our Slido, that'd be fantastic. Elliot, there's one more thing I want to go into, but everyone who's watching now, you should see a Slido pop on your screen. It will have a QR code, and you can scan that if you want to ask any questions anonymously. So feel free to start asking some questions. And I'm just going to touch on one more thing before we start diving into them. So LinkedIn ultimately is your digital networking tool. And I spoke about this the other day when I was thinking about it, and it's you wouldn't go to a networking event with your face covered, you wouldn't wrap a scarf around your face, so why would you not have a profile picture on? If someone asked you what opportunities are you looking at, you wouldn't just go, I've been in the army for 25 years and say nothing else. So don't what you wouldn't do in an in-person networking opportunity, don't replicate that onto your LinkedIn. What you would do is you would probably dress quite well and you would put yourself forward like in a pretty positive light, which is what you should do with your pictures. When you're doing your own individual summary, exactly like when you were pitching to someone in person about yourself, you would be trying to put your best foot forward. And give some insightful information, some valuable information, what you're looking for. You wouldn't just say I did this and then expect someone to just hand you a job for you telling them that you've done 20 years in the military. It's not how this world works. Exactly. I thought that was an interesting one, mate.
Yeah. And also look at other people within your industry, or look at if you need a bit of inspiration. It needs to be a bit personable as well, because people buy into people. So I mean, I think mine on there, it says it's like Elliot, fiance, business owner, sports enthusiast. Like then, if I could, sum myself up in 3 words, that would be it. Like, and then it sort of goes on to a military, which I'm just going off the top of my head with like cemented my, work ethic, blah blah blah. And then this is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm looking to do in the future. Like, just break it down and don't think too much into it. Just keep it relaxed. Keep it like this is what I like. This is what I don't like, and this is what I want to do. And get a bit of it doesn't have to be. It's hard to put into words out like to get excited about it, but like you're leaving the forces, and this is what you want to do, and this is a new career path. Your goals have changed, or you're at the end. You're at the end of your career, and this is where you're at. Put your best foot forward. At all times, because that's you've probably got a lot to say, and you probably are. You're a confident person going out into the world. It's not easy leaving the military where it's so secure, and you want to do it for a reason. So, don't be shy. Stick it on there, and see what comes back. Because being shy really doesn't get you anywhere, especially on something like LinkedIn. And even if you are a shy person, you don't have to be on there because you're not going to benefit.
Yeah, 100%. An interesting one where you're saying don't be shy, and I brought this up in the last one as well. Something that a friend of mine is also my kind of like personal coach, who always leaves me with how is being skeptical treating you. So if you're looking at this, with that skeptical, pessimistic mindset, like what benefit is that actually having for you, as opposed to just giving it a go and embracing this and giving it a shot? And it should be exciting, right? Like these are your new opportunities, your new career. We spend the majority of our lives at work. You should probably be trying to put a pretty good step forward into trying to find and get yourself on a path for a pretty solid career where you want to be happy. And it goes into that thing where I think something that's quite common is when we leave the military is that sense of purpose that you miss, and there's elements of job satisfaction, even though sometimes they're a bit rough, that's quite hard to replicate elsewhere. And that shouldn't be something that you just resign yourself to and expect that, well, nothing's going to be good again. I'm never going to get anything like this. Like, yes, there's some things that you won't replicate, but there's no reason why you can't start to better yourself through your career, and that should absolutely be quite an exciting prospect.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, everything you said's right. I agree with.
So anyone, if you've got any questions, again, feel free to give us a scan on this, or if you think that you might have a good question that Elliot's got some good advice for, because this will get rewatched by quite a lot of people as it gets pushed out. Oh, there we go, it's starting to come in now. So yeah, if you've got things that you think Elliot can weigh in for the rest of our community, please get asking. Should you connect with an employer before an interview? Thoughts on that, Elliot?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing I'd do. In terms of an employer, let's say we'll just go in with, let's say it's a 50 person company. I would connect with the people who are going to know you're going to be interviewing. So let's say like the manager of the team, you imagine, maybe the managing director, maybe a couple of people on your level as well, just to see what. Again, if they're on it and they're posting, then the research that you should do before an interview, and they say, oh yeah, look into the company, see what they're about. Realistically, all you need to do is go on LinkedIn, go on the manager or the managing director, see what they're posting, and go, oh yeah, well actually, in the interview, I seen you post the other week about this, and this. This is what I think on this, and this. And I suppose it's that's just a bit more in depth than probably what I did 6 or 7 years ago, which was go on the website and have a look on there, which isn't concurrent at all. Where just go and see what they're doing, see what they're commenting on, see what the company page is posting, or just things off the top of my head. Maybe just have a little look at that.
Yeah, I think there's a few good points in there. I think you absolutely should connect with. It shows them that you're being proactive enough to find out who they are, research them, look into the business anyway. They know that you're doing that because they'll see that you're on their profile. And here's an interesting one before we jump into that next question. What's your thoughts on pre-messaging, post-messaging, in terms of like before you've had the official interviews?
Pre-messaging. It depends, because I feel like if I was going to go for a new job interview anyway, I feel like I would get that through LinkedIn. I feel like I would have already messaged the person. But let's say you haven't, and you've got a job role. Let's say you've applied for the job, you've got the interview, you're going to be interviewing with this manager for this role next Wednesday. Here's what I'd do. I'd go on to that manager straight away. I'd drop them an invite. I probably wouldn't message them personally, but I would have a look at the posts.
Yeah.
I'd let's say they've given their opinion on something in the last week. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, I don't know. I would like that, and I would maybe comment on that if I was going to do anything. I
Mhm.
would say, yeah, actually, I agree with that. I like this, this, and this, and I don't like this. You
Yeah.
know, no one likes a yes man, but you know, if you do, you know, oppose to something, maybe do that.
Yeah.
And after 100%, yeah, you could do it by email, but LinkedIn's a bit more personable as well. And I guess in the interview, you know, it's going to come up. You
Mhm.
go, oh yeah, I've seen that on your LinkedIn, and they'll probably like that.
Mhm.
And then again after the interview, it's always good to go to say, look, thanks for the interview, really enjoyed it. And I always used to like to say to hiring managers about candidates, I go, oh, do you know what? As well, the candidate actually said that he really could imagine working with you.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. That's just something I always put, and I think it just blows a bit of smoke for the manager to think, you know what? Yeah, I'm the dogs, but maybe just say that yourself. Go, yeah, I can really imagine myself working in your team. There's a bit of a tip there that I always found worked. But and also, actually, just to expand on that, you wouldn't go if there's a lot of ex-military people there. I wouldn't go and knock on a drill leader's door if my boots weren't polished.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't go and add to my manager of my new workplace there. I want to work
Mhm.
with you know, an awful looking profile, or you know, not necessarily, you know, bad. Just have a picture on there. Have, you know, the job title of what you want on there. Your summary. Just make sure it's not hard. It takes 5 minutes just to have a quick introduction to yourself. Your past, what you're looking to do in the future, and
Yeah.
again the recommendations on there because they will look. It's the first thing I look at.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I'm gonna, you know, if I'm gonna find someone for a job or I'm gonna put them forward or I'm thinking about messaging them, I'm gonna go have a look, see what they're all about. So,
Yeah, 100%. Interestingly, in summary, I would agree. I don't know about messaging before, but I do massively agree with messaging after. And it goes hand in hand with
yeah,
having a good or bad profile. If your profile's bad, you're not going to look great. If you've got a great profile where you've sent a message saying, you know, really enjoyed the time with you, I had to think about this, thought this was really interesting. And like you say, I think, you know, the idea of working with you is great. And then you've got a great profile for them to go and look through, and you've been active, you look even better that way. So by, you know, these things really start to come full circle, and very much hand in hand. So we'll fire through a couple of these ones before we look to start
yeah.
rounding off the session, mate. How often do you need to update your profile?
In terms of your profile, if you do a good job, you shouldn't have to unless anything changes.
Yeah.
If your experiences have got, you know, bullet points of everything that you've done. Um, if you have changed job roles, you know, complete all the tasks that you've done in there. If your
Mhm.
summary's bang on and it's nothing's changed on there, then you shouldn't really have to change it unless your
Yeah.
goals change or your aspirations change. And again, the recommendations at the bottom. I'd be asking for them from people that you've worked with all the time. So, you know, if you do a little task for someone or you think that'd be good, say, you know, I'm going to throw you a little LinkedIn recommendation there. We just did a great project together, and you know, do one for them, and they'll probably do one back. So if it's up to standard, you shouldn't really have to do it unless anything changes. So yeah, unless anything changes, don't change it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's good enough, if it's
And
not,
staying on top
then
of it,
make it
right?
good
You know,
enough.
like you say, if you've done a new big project, get it into your previous role. If you've got a
Mm,
new skill, add that new skill onto your profile. Take a couple of minutes,
correct.
so then you don't have to do these massive
Mm.
rehauls. But once it's set up, I agree, it's set up and it's pretty much good to go. And then just try and stay on top of it and always be looking for those recommendations. Is it necessary to have a background photo on LinkedIn? If yes, then what kind should be put up?
In the fact that you've got the option to do it, so just do it.
Yeah,
You know, it takes 30 seconds. I tell you what, if I go on a profile and it's not got on there, I just think the first thing is they can't be asked doing it.
yeah,
Again, maybe it's just a lack of ideas of etc. what's on there. I mean, you know, if you just you can do a couple of things. You can go on Canva,
hmm
which is free, and you can type in their LinkedIn banner, LinkedIn background. There's loads of things on there that you can have a look at. You can customize it or put your name on there or what you do, um, which mainly is if you're a landing page for a business, that's what you'd have on there. I think mine at the minute is work pathfinder with email and what we're looking to do. But
yeah,
if you're not in that space, then just maybe like a skyline, a
yeah,
picture of a mountain. Just do something. Something's better than nothing. I mean, again, it's that marginal gain. It might even be 0.5%. But if I look on there and there's not a picture, not a profile picture, I'm just going to think this person can't be bothered. Which is, you know, it probably can be, and they might be a great person to work with. But that's just an initial thought, and it's a first impression. You
I couldn't agree more. If it's not there, it says a lot more than just. And the skyline thing made me laugh. I had no idea what to put as mine. I was moving up to work
Yeah,
when I first left, so I found a skyline picture off Google Images and just
yeah,
banked it
yeah,
in.
yeah.
'Cause it was
I
something.
think mine was the same. I had the Manchester skyline for years, and it looked great, but you know what I mean. It didn't mean anything. I didn't need anything there because I was just working on my LinkedIn, but I've
Yeah.
only recently changed it.
Cool.
Is it?
So two more, if we can get through these relatively quickly, and then we'll look to round up.
Mhm,
What should you
mhm.
put as your prospective job title if you don't know what you're going to do? That's quite a good question.
That's a good question. You, so you don't know what you want to do.
Probably find out what
Um,
you are going to do.
yeah, find out. I mean, if you're in the military now and you want to leave because you just simply don't want to be there, and you'll do any job role at all, um, yeah, it's a tough one because really, you know, you're gonna. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'll be honest with you because I'll probably go back on what I just said because I said, you know, people who, you know, if you wanted a job title that you're looking to go and have aspirations to be, then I would put that job title, but and not have 24-year army veteran. But then again, if you don't know what you want to do, you're just making a LinkedIn for LinkedIn's sake, then yeah, then maybe put that. But as soon as you do realize what you want to do and what your you know your target is and where you want to be, then I get that change pretty sharpish to where you want to go or where you want to be in 6 months when you do TX. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think?
agree. I agree, mate. I think really focus on trying to figure out what you don't want to do as much, which is quite what you
Mm,
do want to do, but what is helpful is to figure out what you don't want to do, even if you start nailing down an
mhm.
industry. So, and then you can put that you're just interested in opportunities in the defense space, the tech space. Try to at least start nailing it down into some sort of skill cluster or industry cluster, and then I guess refine it as you start to look at your path. And just because it's in there doesn't mean you can't change it. You might change your mind, and that's absolutely fine. What about connecting with other people in prospective companies like future colleagues? I guess we kind of touched on this one quickly. I think it's a good idea, especially if they're on a peer level.
Yeah.
Look, I'm interviewing soon. Really interested to learn a little bit more about the company from an internal perspective. If you wouldn't mind, a quick 10 minutes of your time with a coffee, I'd really appreciate that. That will go a long way to you learning about the business and looking proactive. So I'm personally a big one for it as long as you're doing it in the right manner. But what are your thoughts on that, El?
Couple of people who would be on that level. So you know, what do you think of them? And you know, if you have connected with them on LinkedIn already, or they already see that you're being proactive, it just sort of gives you that marginal gain again. Where you go, oh, go and interview, go and interview Ellison there. You're fucking already connected with him, hey mate, and it's a bit warmer. So I mean, you don't. If you just make everything as warm as possible, and by warm I mean not the first initial contact with someone. You know, if they've already had an initial quick chat, then it just makes everything just a little bit easier. Um, I find anyway. So that's and that's the whole point of LinkedIn, which I said before, just to make the initial conversations, or oh, I've already seen you on LinkedIn, I've seen this, I've seen that. Just getting a bit of knowledge around whatever subject or whatever you're going to go into. So I'm an advocate for connecting with peers, connecting with people that you might be in their team, and just if there are any quick questions you can fire out, or just go, hey, look, I'm interviewing there next week.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I thought, how is it? Are you enjoying it? Blah blah blah. See, you've been there for 6 months or 12 months. Have you got any advice? That will go a long way.
100%. And some people who might listen to this might think, well, that takes a lot of time, but you shouldn't be spraying and praying in your application for jobs. You should be taking the
Hmm.
time to figure out the one that you want to go for and doing this properly, because you're just going to go full circle with spraying and praying, not doing it properly, getting rejected, and that's going to just put you in that circle and that spiral of doing more and
Yeah,
thinking you're getting a return because you're doing more in terms of quantity. But if you go at this with quality and really start approaching these properly, approaching people, you'll massively boost your chances. But great. So,
definitely.
Elliot, if I could ask then, as we look to round this
Yeah.
off, if you could summarize maybe a bit of your top tips for advice when building a LinkedIn
Mm.
profile, when approaching LinkedIn, what does that look like to you?
Yeah, just to summarise everything we've gone over there, really, we've touched on everything that's. I said to you before that LinkedIn just needs a bit of education around it. People might not just not understand what it is and how it's used, and people go, "Oh, it's like a business Facebook." Blah, blah, blah. but maybe not understand the connections you can make and the networking that you can actually do. And everyone's on there to do the same thing. So just to drop that little message, might be a big thing to some people to initially do it, but people are doing that day in, day out.
Yeah.
And hopefully, people listening to this have gone, actually, yeah, well, give them a bit more of a broader aspect of LinkedIn, which again, just to touch on, is what we were trying to achieve with the Work Pathfinder, which is, if you are making a LinkedIn today and you don't even know where to start, it's going to take you from putting that profile picture, why you're doing it, to the header, to the job title summary, to recommendations, all the way through to how to job hunt properly, which we spoke about earlier on, about getting yourself up on the SEO, to then, the LinkedIn algorithms of how it works and connecting and how to connect, etc. To then also what content you're going to write and giving you ideas to post. So it sort of goes all the way through that and everything that we've touched on. But yeah, I suppose the summary of this conversation was just to sort of shed a bit of light on LinkedIn, and hopefully some people in the military or leaving or have left and go, fucking hell, do you know what? Actually, I didn't really know it could be used for that, even though we're on LinkedIn Live now. You'd imagine people do have a bit of an idea, but maybe, didn't have as deep a thought or deeper knowledge of that. Which a lot of people don't, but because I'm on the other side as a headhunter and someone who finds people with jobs and clients, etc., then I've got that side of it. So that's what we're trying to shine a bit of light on. That's why I think that people should know that, be educated on it, and then once they're educated on it, it's up to them to be able to go forth and do that. But if you don't know, then how are you supposed to do it? So that's why we're here, I guess, on this live, to just show people that that's what it's there for. That's what's in our opinion should be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on. So I guess that pretty much wraps us up. So please, to everyone who is watching this, go and connect with Elliot. Go and check out Work Pathfinder, which launches tomorrow, right?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully tomorrow.
But if
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Just
Yes.
going through some tests.
Go and check that out. Check Elliot out. Connect with us both. Hit up Redeployable if anyone's got any more questions. We'll be back again in 2 weeks for our next LinkedIn Live lesson, which will be episode 3. And I'll be putting out a bit more about that in the coming days. But once again, thanks to everyone who has tuned in, who's engaged with us, who's taking the time to kind of listen to us today. Massive thanks, Elliot. Massive thanks for joining us. Massively appreciate your time and all the advice. And we'll see you all again very soon. Cheers.
Thank you very much.